name is Yair Davidiy. I'm speaking to you from the land of Israel. Today we are going to speak about the end time wars, the wars of Edom and Ishmael against Israel, and also about the wars of Gog and Magog. We're just going to give a general outline, but it is of interest. It should be of interest, and it's important. It's worth knowing, because the preparations, the pre-adumbrations, the foreshadowing, what will happen in the future is already taking shape before our eyes today. The impression given from the Bible is that there will be a series of wars in the end times. But first there will be wars between the family of Israel, that is the immediate family of Israel. The Israelite nation is comprised of two portions: the Jews made up of the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and representative minorities of all of the other tribes, so that in a sense all of the tribes of Israel are to be found amongst the Jews, but Judah and Benjamin are the dominant players amongst them. And also you have others who join them in the course of centuries and have become part of them, and in biblical terms are considered part of them. Together with the Jews, you also have the 10 tribes. The 10 tribes were exiled. They lost awareness of their ancestry. They are amongst the Gentiles. They consider themselves Gentiles. Legally, they are almost the same as Gentiles, but nevertheless, they are physically descendant from Israelites, and the Bible speaks about them, and they have their own role to play in the future, and eventually they will be informed of their ancestry, come to realize their ancestry, and take steps in accordance to that ancestry. So that is what we're speaking about at present. We find the lost 10 tribes to be amongst West European nations and their offshoots in North America, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. European nations, amongst whom we find a good portion of the lost 10 tribes. We're not saying that all the people in those regions belong to the 10 tribes. We're saying that a significant portion of them are, and they had an historical role to play, and they were often dominant amongst the nations we are speaking of. The nations concerned are Finland, Sweden. Nations concerned are Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Switzerland. And as we said, the offshoots of the English-speaking peoples overseas. Amongst the 10 tribes, the tribes of Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh. Manasseh in Hebrew are very important. They have a major role to play. We find them to have given expression to their tribal proclivities amongst the English-speaking peoples. The English-speaking peoples are to be identified in biblical terms with Joseph. So in the end times, according to the prophecies, there will be a series of wars between Israelite nations and their brothers, that is Edom. Esau and Jacob were brothers. From Esau came the nations of Edom. Edom is dominant in Europe, especially in Germany, but also in other nations. Also throughout the world we have elements from Edom, especially amongst dominant military groups. Japan, China, India, all over we find elements from Edom. But as we said, the impression is that Germany and Europe on the whole is traditionally where Edom is located. They will fight against Israel, against the Israelite nations. So too will Ishmael meaning the Arabs. There will be a stage where Edom and Ishmael unite to fight against Israel. What exactly happens is not clear. The impression is that an attempt may be made to exterminate a portion of the Israelite nation, especially Judah. And this may well have happened. We may already be in the midst of such a war. We don't know. We have to pray and keep our eyes open. And a good portion of the Israelites will be defeated, will be taken into captivity. But the forces of Joseph will somehow either survive, break free, and they will redeem the rest of Israel. During this initial phase, eventually a Messianic figure, an historical figure, referred to as the Messiah, son of Joseph, will be dominant. He will probably emerge from one of the Joseph nations, from one of the English-speaking nations, but we don't know. At all events, he will be dominant. He will lead the 10 tribes. He will help them become aware of the Israelite ancestry. He will also help Judah. He will help deliver Judah. Together with Judah, they will rebuild the temple. They will resettle, at least a portion of them will resettle in the land of Israel. They will rehabilitate the land of Israel. They will rehabilitate their own lands. The lands that they already dwell in will become part of the land of Israel. The land of Israel, that is from the Nile to the Euphrates, will be divided up amongst the tribes. Each tribe will receive its own portion. Descendants of non-Israelites who live amongst them, who identify with them, will also receive a portion amongst them. And we may already be in the initial stages of that process. First, Judah will return. He will prepare the land, or prepare a portion of the land. He will set the stage. He will prepare the climate. The psychological disposition will be triggered by the presence of Judah being in this land. Elements from the lost 10 tribes will be attracted to Judah, help Judah, and we may be seeing aspects of this process already underway. So that's a point worth noticing. Contemporary affairs seem to indicate that the potential for what we are saying is already there, is already taking place. After that, sometime after that, we will have the wars of Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog will come from Asiatic and African nations, and also from South American nations, will all combine together to attack the restored state of Israel. They will come up against the state of Israel, the tribes of Israel. This is predicted in Ezekiel chapter 38. It says, "And the men set your face toward Gog, toward the land of Magog." The prince, it says the prince, in Hebrew it says Rosh. Rosh or Ross means Russia. And according to tradition, Russia will be the head of Gog and Magog, or he will be at the top. He will be a dominant partner. He will be a dominant partner in the coalition of Gog and Magog. The Russians themselves are aware of this. Leon Polyakov in 1974 published a book, The Aryan Myth, where he goes through the dominating mythos, the dominating underlying ideologies of different nations of Europe, including Russia. And in Russia, they were aware that they are destined to become a portion of the forces of Gog and Magog, and they were proud of it, and they lived for it, and went through various changes, but this has remained their leading ideological motivation ever since. So we have Russia, Gog and Magog. Gog may also be China, Mongolia, Korea, possibly Japan. All those in the past, in the early Middle Ages, were part of a kingdom known as Gog-Ariel, or as Gog in short. Magog also has been traditionally identified with Mongolians, with Asiatic peoples, though there may also be a portion of Magog in Europe amongst the Germans, even though the Germans are dominated more by the forces of Gomer, and Gomer will also be in that, together with Gog and Magog. Forces of Gog and Magog include Meshech, possibly Moscow, Tubal, possibly Latin America, Spain and Latin America, Tubal. In the Middle Ages, they used to identify themselves with Tubal. Sin Tubal was the name of Spaniards, was understood to mean sons of Tubal. We have Persia, that is Iran. We have Kush, that is Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Burma, Central Asia, and also portions of Africa, all those are known as Kush in the biblical terms. We have Put also, North Africa, Central Africa. And then, as we said, Gomer, traditionally identified with Germanic and Celtic peoples. In the book of Hosea, he speaks of the lost 10 tribes combining with Gomer, whereas the prophet Hosea is commanded to take a loose woman and to have children from her. This woman is known as Gomer. The 3 children he has with her represent the lost 10 tribes. And the lost 10 tribes will have been influenced by the forces of Gomer, will have intermixed with them, taken on aspects of their culture. And traditionally, Gomer is connected with the Cimmerians. The Cimmerians joined the lost 10 tribes after the lost 10 tribes had been exiled. The Assyrian records speak of this. Also, other traditions speak of this. And also a great rabbi, the Basi Israel, said that the children of Israel will be, especially those connected with Joseph, will be Gomerim. That is, they will at some stage have been influenced by Gomer and have joined with Gomer, but over the course of time they will have broken free of them. And the non-Israelite portions of Gomer will be amongst the forces of Gog and Magog who come and attack Israel at the end times. And we have Togomer. Togomer traditionally means Turkey, Turkish peoples and other peoples in Europe. And in the general neighborhood, Gog and Magog will be defeated. And that will be the reign of the Messiah, son of David. And there will be peace on earth